When I reviewed last week's episode, I noticed that with all the experimental episodes we've had this season, there still hadn't been a good old-fashioned Doctor Who adventure like back in the good old days. Well, I didn't have long to wait. This is in many respects a return to the old formula of evil aliens, a period setting, and a big-name guest star. But it does it well, and the Doctor's new relationship will ensure that it's one to remember. The episode has been advertised as Doctor Who Does Bridgerton, and there are at least 4 direct references to Bridgerton in the actual episode. What next? Will they visit a post-apocalyptic wasteland? Only for Ruby to say, hey, this is just like Fallout, streaming now on Amazon Prime Video. I have actually done some research for once. Since last week I have seen 2 episodes of Bridgerton, so I think I know what I'm talking about. It's not really my thing. Clearly they're doing Jane Austen, but with slightly more mature themes worked in, although it's still very much a romantic fantasy at heart. I do like the use of modern pop songs played with classical instruments. Makes it feel a bit like Westworld. It is apparently set in a parallel universe where Queen Charlotte was black and single-handedly ended racism in British society. So far that's mainly subtext, but maybe they deal more with that in the prequel. And this episode appears to be set in exactly the same world, complete with anachronistic music and the multicultural society. It might have been more interesting if they'd subverted it by having the Doctor banned from the dance floor, but they did racism last week, so it could be a while before they go there again. The production values are every bit as good as Bridgerton. The costumes and sets all look incredible, as you would expect from a BBC costume drama. The lighting is a lot darker than Bridgerton, but I guess it is appropriate for this show when people keep dying. Jonathan Groff as Rogue is the big guest star. It was rumoured that he would be a new version of Captain Jack Harkness. But apart from the American accent, there's really not much of a similarity. If anything, he's kind of the opposite. He has a similar relationship to the Doctor as the 9th Doctor did with Captain Jack. Only this time it's reversed, and it's the Doctor who's doing all the flirting, and the new guy who's being more standoffish. He's basically playing the classic uptight man whose defences get whittled away by his love interest until eventually he returns their feelings. Kind of like Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice, or Simon from Bridgerton. I usually prefer the Doctor being asexual, as that's what the character was like when I was growing up. But the 10th Doctor was clearly straight, and that worked very well. It brought out a new dimension to the character. So I guess I'm not against the Doctor occasionally exploring that side of things every now and again. I suspect that all the people who aren't too happy about this Doctor being black will be equally unhappy about him being gay as well. But those sort of people will never be satisfied. The 2 actors clearly have a good chemistry together, so you can certainly imagine this being the start of an ongoing relationship. Rogue could keep popping up once a series like River Song used to. Jonathan Groff and Ncuti Gatwa certainly make a more convincing couple than Matt Smith and Alex Kingston ever did. I wouldn't want it to be the main focus of the show, but it does bring out a whole new side to the Doctor. And Rogue clearly has a lot of secrets left to be explored, not least of which is his new boss, who may or may not be the same new boss that the Meep had. Meanwhile, Ruby gets to have her own adventure. It does feel like she hasn't spent much time with the Doctor since Boom. Instead, she has a sweet friendship with Emily, played by Camilla Aiko. She is so convincing as a naive 19th century girl that it comes as a total surprise when she turns out to be another one of the Shoulder. And Ruby gets to have her own kick-ass moment when she takes her down. This all leads into the big final scene, where the Doctor is faced with the prospect of losing Ruby to banish the alien threat. It's a classic moral dilemma, and the Doctor's anguish at the prospect of losing his best friend is palpable. Of course, Rogue saves the day by substituting himself for Ruby, which is rather predictable, but it's really about the only way they could have wrapped things up neatly, and I'm sure the character will be back at some point. Indira Varma is the other big guest star. She has much experience in period dramas such as Rome and Game of Thrones, so as you might expect, she's right at home playing the Duchess, who's kind of the same character as Lady Danbury in Bridgerton, who's played by Martha's mum. But once she becomes the Chuldo, she does go a bit over the top, as many Doctor Who villains do. She was a lot more subtle when she was on Torchwood. But the Chuldo do look very impressive in their true form. The makeup is excellent, very detailed, and every one of them has a distinctive look. I certainly wouldn't mind seeing them again. Overall, it's a fun romp, Nothing particularly new, just a good solid episode to lead into the finale. If Rogue does become a recurring character, I suspect it will be remembered mainly for that. Next week, the first part of the season finale, and it looks like we might finally get some answers to some of the burning questions of the last few weeks. Who is Susan Twist? Who is Ruby's mother? Will Daphne and Simon get married? Sorry, that's Bridgerton again. Subscribe to find out what I think, and I'll see you next time.